Hi guys, it's Sammy here.
Hi, I'm Catherine.
And we are educators at the Perot Museum of Nature and Science, and we love doing science experiments with you guys. So we've got some really cool stuff for you guys today. We are actually going to be being meteorologists.
And meteorologists, they study the atmosphere around our Earth. Now, hopefully you saw our earlier experiment all about a cold front. So what happens when cold air moves into an area, what that causes weather-wise.
Exactly. So as cold air moves into an environment, it's going to push warm air high up into the atmosphere. So our experiment we're going to do with you guys today is all about what happens when that warm air makes its way up high. So first we kind of need to take it back though and talk about the water cycle.
Now, the water cycle. Earth is about 75% water.
That's a lot.
There's so many places on Earth that we can find water, not only in liquid form, but also in gas form and in solid form. What do you think causes the water to move all through the cycle?
Well, we already talked about temperature, so maybe something that changes the temperature of the water?
The sun, definitely. A huge driver for the water cycle. Now, all this water, let's say we have a huge ocean, and all that water, liquid form, as it gets heated up, it can evaporate, which means it's changing from a liquid to a gas. And all the water enters into the atmosphere as water vapor, and it's a gas form. But we gotta figure out what happens with temperature as you go higher up into the atmosphere.
Exactly. So if you're trying to think, what would it feel like the higher up into the atmosphere you go? Think about if you were climbing a mountain. If you were climbing Mount Everest, would you pack a bathing suit? Probably not. You'd probably pack a big puffy coat. And that's because higher up into the atmosphere you go, it actually gets colder. So that cold air is gonna take that warm water vapor that Catherine just talked about and condense it or cool it back down and turn it back into a liquid like what it was when it was in the ocean before it got warmed up.
Now, when this condensation happens, we see it as clouds. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of clouds. I hope you get to the chance to go outside and maybe make some observations. What kind of clouds are you seeing today? And maybe compare what you've seen yesterday to tomorrow. And we get so many different kinds of clouds.
Exactly, but we're inside the museum right now, so we can't really see the clouds outside. So instead we're gonna do an experiment where we actually make clouds. So the two ingredients we need to make clouds, like we just said, is warm water vapor and cold air. So from our last experiment with the cold front, we have some leftover warm water here. So we're gonna pour that into our container. And that warm water is a liquid, but it's also creating a lot of warm water vapor around it. So the next thing we need is cold air. And it doesn't feel that cold in this room right now, but we're gonna cool it down a little bit more. We brought something with us today that you guys have probably heard about, dry ice. So dry ice is the solid form of carbon dioxide, CO2, and it's really, really cold. It's negative 109 degrees Fahrenheit, which is why I'm wearing a glove to protect my skin. So you can already see it's cooling down the warm water vapor just coming off of my hands around the air we have in this room right now, and we can see the cloud forming, but we can speed this process up.
Absolutely.
And I think we should.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
So we were using red water, but this dry ice is causing a cloud to form from the air already in the room. So we're not supposed to get a red cloud. We're just getting a cloud because of what the water vapor is in this room already. So if I take a deep breath in, I'm already breathing in really small water droplets, but this is causing those water droplets that are already in our air to condense into a cloud right here.
So if you guys are following along at home and you do this experiment and you get some dry ice from the grocery store, do be sure that you have an adult with you because like I said, it is really cold and not good for your skin. Now this cloud is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome actually, and it's really fun to watch, but the clouds outside, that was awesome. The clouds that we see outside can sometimes behave a little differently. Not all clouds act the same. So our next experiment that we're gonna show you guys is about what causes clouds to precipitate or rain.
Which is the next step in the water cycle after clouds form. Not all clouds will precipitate, and it has to come into play with pressure.
All right, thanks guys.